Hello everyone. Welcome to the Donna Gracia Center for Diplomacy's Round Table Discussion on Armenia's ecological terrorism in Karabakh. I would like to start by lighting memorial candle for the 7 people who were killed in Jerusalem last Friday while leaving Friday night prayer, and also for the Azerbaijani security force who was killed inside the Azerbaijani embassy by the Iranian Revolutionary Guards. Both terror attacks occurred on International Holocaust Memorial Day. As many of you guys are probably aware, Iran is one of the greatest state sponsors of terrorism. They essentially wantonly attacked the Azerbaijani embassy because they are opening up a new embassy here in Tel Aviv. And because of that, they went in there, a member of the Iranian Revolutionary Guards, and wanted to kill everybody inside of the embassy on International Holocaust Memorial Day. Just because they wanted to have good relations with Israel. And the same day, 7 people were killed by a Palestinian terrorist in Jerusalem while leaving Friday prayers. And the day after, there was another terror attack. A few people were wounded in the City of David Archaeological Park. For the one on International Holocaust Memorial Day, Iran came out with a statement saying that the terrorists were martyrs and it was an act of resistance. And of course, according to Iran, the Holocaust is a myth. They completely deny that the Holocaust happened, but they encourage Palestinians to kill Jews on International Holocaust Memorial Day, and they attacked innocent Azerbaijanis, and it was only thanks to the diligence of the Azerbaijani security forces that this was aborted. You might wonder why I am talking about this now. Because Iran doesn't operate alone. They have proxies, and one of their proxies is the state of Armenia. They all the time use Armenia to bypass the sanctions. They were complicit in Armenia's war crimes in the Karabakh region. I was in Agdam last year together with Dana and a group of other foreigners, and we saw how basically the Armenians completely destroyed a city, transformed a vibrant city into a ghost town, and sold everything to the Iranians. Roofs of homes, everything was sold to the Iranians. And Iran, and also we saw when we were in Shusha last year, my group, how they transformed Azerbaijani mosque into Armenian mosque and destroyed the rest. So Iran is very much a part of all of the war crimes taking place in Karabakh. David Schwartz, writing in the Journal of Peace Research, declared that an ecological terrorist is anyone who commits any of these acts above. The physical harm from environmental terrorism is not confined to the direct effects of acts of terror itself. When ecological destruction occurs, the interconnected nature of the environment ensures that harm extends well beyond the immediate victims. Thus, when Hamas fires incendiary balloons and kites into forests and kibbutzim in southern Israel, or Armenians destroy the nature in Karabakh so that the Azerbaijanis cannot enjoy it, it is truly an act of ecological terrorism. In both cases, the perpetrators do not want their victims to enjoy the natural world that surrounds them. In an official statement put out by the Israel Defense Forces, they declared the ecological and economic impact that these fires cause can be irreparable. Terrorist organizations in the Gaza Strip have carried out some of the largest acts of environmental terrorism in the world. During August 2020, fires sparked by balloons destroyed thousands of acres of natural forest and farmland in southern Israel, killing massive amounts of wildlife. Local farmers' crops, farming equipment, and livelihoods were damaged. According to various media reports, there have been tortoises, gazelles, birds, and other animals who have fallen victim to such ecological terror. In fact, in a couple of particularly shocking incidences, Hamas attached explosive devices to birds and used them to blow up people, killing the innocent animal in the process. In 2020, Armenian settlers, as they withdrew from Karabakh and the 7 adjacent Azerbaijani districts, committed ecological terrorism of a similar magnitude as Hamas by burning down the homes of internally displaced Azerbaijani refugees, burning agricultural fields, slaughtering cattle, cutting down trees, looting holy sites, and robbing the area of cultural and ecological treasures. They did this to make the region uninhabitable for the Azerbaijani internally displaced persons that wanted to return to the homes that they were expelled from in the early 1990s. In fact, as Azerbaijan took over additional areas in the context of the peace agreement, the Armenian ecological terrorism that systematically left the region in ruins is blatantly there for all to see. I want to tell this audience that I accompanied former Israeli Communications Minister Ayub Kara to the Karabakh regions 6 months after the war. And we saw that 6 months after the Second Karabakh War ended, the fires did not go out. Everything was still burning. The roads were zigzagged because there were landmines everywhere. Our bus broke down. We were stranded in a landmine-infested area where any way we walked, to the right or to the left, we could be blown up. I was there with the former Israeli Communications Minister in those conditions, camping out in a rundown Armenian hotel because the 5-star Karabakh hotel wasn't built yet. We camped out without electricity in these primitive conditions with uprooted trees, burnt archaeological fields, zigzagged roads that you couldn't drive on, full of potholes that were so big that they made you vomit when you traveled on them. These was the conditions that the Armenians left after their massive destruction. We saw mile after mile of destroyed villages, destroyed cities, destroyed homes, destroyed nature. It was absolutely appalling. The former Israeli Communications Minister said what he saw in Karabakh was worse than what he witnessed in Lebanon, because at least there, the Hezbollah did not destroy the nature to the same level that the Armenians did. Over the past 30 years, it has been noted that Armenia has been looting natural resources, polluting waters. There's rivers with no fish in them, destroying flora and fauna, cultivating narcotic plants, and trafficking drugs in the occupied region, and planting landmines, thus causing massive destruction and severe damage to the environment. Armenia's recent acts of ecological terror have only exacerbated an already horrific situation in the region. As a result, the region is overrun with pollution, debris, and a lack of biodiversity, leading to many rare plants and animals who once populated the region under Azerbaijani control simply to cease to exist. And now, in 2023, it was reported in the Turkish media that Azerbaijan seeks to sue Armenia for violating the Berne Convention and in causing extensive destruction to the environment during their 30-year occupation of Karabakh in violation of 4 UN Security Council resolutions. Armenia's widespread destruction, unsustainable logging, and pollution through significant construction and mining in areas that were protected nature reserves prior to the occupation has put over 500 wildlife species at risk in Azerbaijan. The Azerbaijani Foreign Ministry statement added, within the framework of arbitration, Azerbaijan demands to order Armenia to cease all ongoing violations of the Berne Convention and pay full reparation for its environmental destruction in the formerly occupied territories. Recently, I interviewed Rabbi Zamir Isael. He is the head of the Georgian Jewish community in Azerbaijan. He has a Jewish school in Baku. And he recently accompanied environmental activists to the Lashon corridor to stand in solidarity with them. And he wanted to show how he is angry about Armenia's violation of international law. And he told me the reality on the ground is that the Azerbaijani eco-activists are absolutely right in their requirement to let them monitor the mines. They are exploiting the mines and polluting the Azerbaijani nature. This affects the entire world. According to him, the international community has to support the Azerbaijani eco-activists. Every eco-activist should be involved in this as it involves nature protection. We call on them to support Azerbaijani eco-activists. The exploitation and use of Azerbaijani territory is uncalled for. The Armenians are lying about the blocking off of the area. I was there. Humanitarian convoys continue to provide for Armenian civilians all the time. The Jewish community stands with the Azerbaijani activists and their right to protect their land. As we speak, the peaceful Azerbaijani environmental protests continue along the Lashin corridor despite the cold weather.
I'm doing investigative journalism here in Israel since 1987, and we've been watching I've been in Israel since 1970. My background is social work, and I was involved with interaction groups between Jews and Arabs since I came here in 1970, and I was a social work degree. What we've seen happen here is a deterioration of the situation with the Palestinian Arabs, who, again, after the '67 war, whether they wanted to or not, they became part of Israel. And at the very beginning, and I've been here since '70, and I got involved with interaction groups at that time, we saw a very positive attitude. They were happy to get rid of King Hussein. I have a background in theater, and when I met my first theater group, people from Palestinian Arab theater group, they told us what King Hussein did to crush theater groups by shooting them when they were not allowed to reform. Now, with the Intifada jumping ahead 17 years, the Intifada in 1987, all of a sudden you have a PLO takeover. Now that PLO takeover began in the process, Palestine Liberation Organization, and all of which were manipulated by the KGB in very, very sinister ways. And that's what to look at. So if you do have a study group, and I'm so happy to meet you, I have to leave a little bit early, I have to get back to Efrat, and we should see on south of Bethlehem. But what's very important, good to meet you, is that you may want to have a study group where you look at how this is being covered in Russia, what the Russian involvement in Armenia is, and the extent to which they may go into a situation of very serious and lethal terrorism. So again, environmental terrorism leads to other kind of terrorism. And our security people, I don't know to what extent they follow this. My oldest son, Noah, is involved with trying to reverse the environmental terrorism in the Dead Sea. And that's what we've seen there. The Dead Sea, which they call part of the West Bank. And they're trying to destroy it. And their whole point is not to build something, but to destroy something. That's the key thing. Okay? It's not just people who want to, their words were innocuous. And I'll just never forget when I went for my first interview with Yasser Arafat, and the spokesman said, "Oh, you can trust him. He's only killed 12 people with his own hands." So this is what we have to face. And I think I'm meeting a sophisticated group here this evening, and I would welcome the opportunity to welcome you all to Jerusalem, and maybe we can make a special session at the Knesset where you'll meet. The environmental issues of the Knesset are very, very important. And I think that I think you'll have a listening ear at the Knesset, as well as the center of lawmaking. I'm convinced that somewhere there will be very, very good food. Those of you who are here who are connected with the Azerbaijani, when I was a boy, I had Azerbaijan stamps from the turn of the century. Very, very nice. But anyway, if I would have stamps, please, I'll show you. Anyway, stamp collector. I asked my daughter for her bar mitzvah, so she had a stamp question. She said, "What's a stamp?" And please, let's stay in touch about Karabakh Road, and let's stay. Just around, use our website, and if someone here would be able to organize one of the languages, the 14 languages we have on our site is not Azerbaijani. And let's have someone of you offer to do an Azerbaijani section of the site. I think that's great. Thank you. Rachel is doing what she's doing here is very, very, very well. Speak about something more on the stage. Next thing we're talking about the zoo.
Sorry for interrupting you. You were right about Yom Kippur. It was a surprise attack by Anwar Sadat, and Israelis unfortunately didn't expect that attack from the Egyptian side. And even before the war, the Egyptians conducted a military drill, and the title was "The War." But there was a misinterpretation, and they thought that Egypt is not going to invade the Sinai.
And the United States Senate sent over a certain senator to war that everything was going to be okay. Which senator was that? Senator Biden. He came here and he was the last American politician to meet with Gold in the year before the war. Everything's going to be fine. We now know that what his mental capacities are.
And then Sadat started.
Right.
It was a surprise attack.
I had a stomach problem, and all my friends were in the army at the time, and they could see the Syrians and the Egyptians getting prepared. But no, it's okay, they're all only playing games and this and that. Because that was when we thought that the era of war was over. And that was that's why it was such a surprise.
The co-chair of the Donograssi Center for Diplomacy's Azerbaijani-Israeli Diaspora Youth Network. He is also a graduate student at Tel Aviv University. He will discuss why Azerbaijani youth are protesting Armenia's eco-terrorism. Thank you.
Thank you so much for this wonderful event. Well, first of all, I'd like to let me introduce myself. My name is Rafael Mouzadeh, and I'm studying at Tel Aviv University in my master's degree in Security and Diplomacy program. First of all, I'd like to condemn the terrorist attack on the Azerbaijani embassy in Tehran. Attack on diplomatic missions attacks on the diplomatic missions are unacceptable, and the Iranian regime bears responsibility for this. Secondly, I also fiercely condemn the terror attack on civilians in Jerusalem, which happened near a synagogue in Shabbat, and I convey my condolences to the families of terror victims. Almost 2 months passed since the Azerbaijani eco activists started to hold a protest on the Lachin-Khankandy road against the Armenian eco-terror in Azerbaijan. The Russian peacekeepers, it's even difficult to call them the peacekeepers, they are incapable of resolving the situation in Karabakh. The failure of the Russian peacekeeping contingent to prevent the illegal exploitation of natural resources of Azerbaijan and Karabakh has resulted in ongoing protests on the major road that passes by Shusha. As a result of the negotiations with the Russian peacekeeping command, a delegation consisting of specialists from the ministries of economy, ecology, and natural resources, the state property service under the ministry. After the victory of Azerbaijan in the Second Karabakh War, where the Israeli drones played a crucial role in our victory, the war resulted in the liberation of the internationally recognized territories of Azerbaijan from the Armenian occupation, which lasted for about 3 decades. Azerbaijani government launched an assessment of losses Armenia had posed to Azerbaijan over the years of occupation in various aspects, including devastating environmental damage. Armenia committed unprecedented destruction in Karabakh and surrounding regions, which were kept under occupation for about 30 years. They have razed historical religious monuments to the ground. They have ruined everything, carried out vandalism acts against cemeteries, thus tried to remove signs of Azerbaijanis, to remove the heritage of Azerbaijanis in these areas completely. Besides purposeful destruction of historical culture, religious heritage belonging to Azerbaijanis who settled in its territory historically. Moreover, Armenian aggression resulted in significant disruption of the environment of the whole region of the South Caucasus. In fact, deliberate clearance and burning of forests, pollution of waters, destruction of flora and fauna, and ruthless squandering of natural resources have disorganized the environmental balance. Furthermore, illegal business and exploitation of the natural resources during the years of occupation made a huge economic damage with subversive environmental degradation. At a conservative estimate, Armenians had hand-in-hand with the offshore and European companies have illegally pocketed millions of dollars from plundering Azerbaijan's mineral resources both in Karabakh and Iran during the 30-year-long occupation, and continued the same scheme of theft of gold, molybdenum, copper, and other mineral resources after the war under the supervision and in collaboration of the Russian peacekeepers. So, the Azerbaijani public has finally decided to say enough is enough and halt the continuous plunder, and thus on December 12th of 2022, this year, a group of eco activists took to the streets to say this is the last straw. And they succeeded in it by kicking off open-ended pickets on the Lachen Road, through which Azerbaijani wealth from the interior of the earth has been transported to Armenia for further processing. There is a black propaganda against Azerbaijan. I can't find another name for this. Armenians and their sponsors think that they will achieve something by using it against us, but they won't achieve anything because we have legitimate demands. The young people who protest in the Lachen-Khankende Road are our pride. They are there day and night in harsh weather conditions, in snowy weather. They demand their rights and once again show the world how high-quality Azerbaijani youth are. But the Armenians are busy spreading complete false information to the world. So, once again, Azerbaijani activists are not preventing the transit of civilian and humanitarian transportation. But the Armenians in Karabakh are using the situation to show shortage of food and the threat of a humanitarian catastrophe. And they are blaming Azerbaijan and the activists for it. These are just groundless accusations and black propaganda against Azerbaijan. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, Raphael, for your time. Our next speaker is Noam Ezar, also co-chair of the Dona Gracia Center for Diplomacy's Azerbaijani-Israeli Diaspora Youth Network. He is also a graduate student at Bar-Ilan University. He will discuss why Israeli youth should support Azerbaijani youth in protesting Armenia's eco-terrorism.
Okay, good evening everyone. My name is Noam Ezar. I'm a Middle East student at Bar-Ilan University. And I've come to speak today about the question of why Israeli youth should support the Azerbaijani youth in protesting Armenia's eco-terrorism. It may be that the relationship between Israel and Azerbaijan can appear false, or perhaps a relationship that stems from narrow interest and nothing more. But I promise you that when I finish talking, you will understand the close connection between these two nations, and thus you will understand why we must support each other. First of all, I would like to note the good relationship between Israel and Azerbaijan over the years since the establishment of the relations in 1992. A prominent example of the warm relationship between the countries is the fact that Azerbaijan defended the Israeli embassy several times from an Iranian attack. And in general, Israel and Azerbaijan have a common security interest against the Iranian enemy, which ensures continued cooperation between the countries. Azerbaijan, a country that shares a border with Iran, fears from the influence of radical Shia Islam in Iran. And Israel, a country marked by the rule of the Ayatollahs, since they came to power in 1979. Correct cooperation between the countries can achieve a respectable result from a security point of view. And the Azerbaijani market benefits from economic investments that come from outside the country. When I see the relationship between the countries, I know that it's not something trivial that Israel would develop such a relationship with Shiite Muslim country. This is something that we Israelis must not underestimate, and we should embrace the Azerbaijanis in their difficult times against their Armenian enemy. Secondly, when I think of Azerbaijan, I think of the good relationship between the Azeri Jewish community with the local Muslim population. I know that this is a relationship that should not be underestimated. Since the establishment of the State of Israel, Jews who lived in Muslim countries have felt the deterioration of living conditions in their countries. In most cases, the delicate relationship between Muslim and Jews was destroyed after the establishment of Israel, but not in Azerbaijan. The Jewish community and the Azeri Muslim population have continued to live in harmony, side by side over the years, and not allowed political motives of one kind or another to change the nature of their relationship. And look at the Azerbaijanis, we will realize that we are both fighting against enemies who operate with the same methods. The Armenians used to deliberately set fire to forests during the entire period of their rule in the occupied territories of Azerbaijan. The deliberate fires that were set caused severe environmental damage that will take years for Azerbaijan to heal and repair. Beyond the arson attacks, the Armenian army used white phosphorus ammunition, which besides poisoning and burning human skin, it caused fires that are very difficult to control. But unfortunately, there is more in common between the ecological terrorism that Azerbaijan suffered from and the terrorism that Israel suffers from Hamas. Armenia decided to bring the water sources in Karabakh into the political struggle. Beyond refreshing water sources and drying water sources that are supposed to flow into the territory of Azerbaijan, the Armenians used to pour waste into the water sources in Karabakh, who suffers from the same unsympathetic public opinion. We should do what we accept them to do for us. See them, understand them, and stand by them with broad public support. When I see the relations that have developed to this day between Israel and Azerbaijan, when I see the good, warm relations of the Jewish community with the Muslim neighbors inside Azerbaijan, I know that we are two nations that need to cooperate and support each other. But when I see the identity problems of both countries, I know why we need to cooperate and support each other.
My name is Victor Zisler, or my shorter name for the website victorz.com. Rachel, we managed to get an article with my photos and some of my ideas about Azerbaijan in a Jewish press, which is one of the largest, maybe the largest Jewish newspaper. Is known all over the world. So I want to show you why I love Azerbaijan so much. I'm sure I will meet here a lot of, you know what I mean. You already love it, you're already there. But this, you know, I think it's like a genius place that the architect thought of this because it's beautiful not only in the picture, like seeing it alive, all these lights and the people going by and all these silhouettes, it's just amazing.